Hello everybody and welcome to another video. So for this video we are going to continue our journey through my retro games collection, and today's console of choice is the Nintendo Gamecube. So the Gamecube released in the early 2000s. It was a successor to the Nintendo 64, which had done fairly well. So I guess the sort of mentality here for Nintendo was just kind of iterate on that, create a system that just knocks out some really good games. And certainly the GameCube does have a great library of titles, including some sort of new sort of spin-off franchises that came from previous ones, some iterations on previous franchises that really set new standards, and again just is really beloved by a lot of people. I mean, right, this with the systems of this generation, every single one of them is beloved for a number of reasons. They all produce some fantastic games, and certainly in that early 2000s period, you were just seeing, numerous great games after great game after great game. So let's delve into it from the top then. So our first little batch. Now, one thing I'll say is this collection is actually a combination of both my own personal collection and my girlfriend's GameCube collection. She had a GameCube, so some of the games we had are merged with hers, and I will shout those out as we go through them. And a few of these I have not had the chance to actually sit down and properly play yet, because I wanted to either play others in the series, or I was just kind of waiting until I had a opportunity to record them or stream them as well, because that is something I would definitely like to do. So the first one up is Blood Omen 2. Now I haven't played this one yet because I have Blood Omen 1 on the PlayStation and I want to kind of make a video about that. But the Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain series, if you watched my Dreamcast video, I mentioned Soul Reaver. You had sort of two strands to it. You had the side with Raziel and you had the side with Kain, and then they would sort of converge in one final title, and that was sort of the end of the series as far as we're aware. So this is one I really do want to kind of get round to playing at some point. They were known for kind of, at one point, pushing boundaries for cinematics, some great tech in there, so definitely want to sit down with that one. The next one is a game that I have played, and I absolutely adore. This is one of my favourite horror games of all time. It's Eternal Darkness. Unfortunately, this has never really seen a modern day port or remake or anything like that, which I think is absolutely, it's distressing. It's gutting, because this is such a good game, and also it needs a sequel, because it kind of ended just a bit cliffhangery. So Eternal Darkness, it's kind of set across multiple characters, multiple time periods, and one of the main things with this as well is it had a sort of sanity mechanic in there, where depending on what you did in the game and little choices here and there, it would mess with you, including sort of famous things like in certain, like, maybe additional cutscenes, or you walk into a room and suddenly you're upside down, or even faking the game crashing at one point. But it's a brilliant game, an absolute must-have for any GameCube owner. Now this is from my girlfriend's collection. I have not sat down to play this one, but I think this had modern day parts. It's Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. I think this was, one of the main draws with this is you could hook up your Game Boy Advances and play it like 4-player or something. So I've heard good things about it, one I definitely want to get round to. Now, this one's mine. I've not had a chance to sit down and play it, but I remember hearing about this when it came out. It's by the people who made Hitman. The name of their company, IO Interactive. There we go. Escapes me now, but it's free. It's free, called Freedom Fighters. It's sort of a third-person shootery game. I've heard good things. A bit of a cult classic one, so one I definitely want to check out at some point. This one, so a lot of Lord of the Rings games came out around this era because it was the height of the films coming out. This is the Third Age. This is kind of JRPG inspired. In fact, I believe many people think the combat system for this is a direct sort of copy or rip of Final Fantasy X's one. I've played a little bit of this and I really like it. It's one I do want to return to. This is my girlfriend's copy. I have a copy as well for the PlayStation. So it's one I do want to kind of get around to. This is one I ordered and picked up after seeing a few people talking about it. It's kind of a card-based battler, like JRPG. I don't even think it's a JRPG, but it's called Lost Kingdoms. Again, it's one I kind of need to sit down and play, but I've heard it's got a bit of a cult following behind it. Now, this is one of those spin-off franchises that started on the Gamecube. Luigi's Mansion. I'm rubbish at this for some reason. I'm really bad at it, and I need to go back and put that right. Luigi's Mansion features the titular Luigi, or Green Mario, as he's known in some corners, and you're invited to this spooky kind of mansion. Oh, he's won a mansion. Mario's trapped in there. Fight ghosts. It's like Ghostbusters, but with Luigi. So, really, really fun. I think this one has had a modern remake on the 3DS. They're doing Luigi's Mansion 2 on the Switch, and there is Luigi's Mansion 3 as well. So it's a bit scattered, but it is possible to get hold of. This one was bloody expensive. I wanted this after I played the original Metal Gear Solid on stream, because I love the original Metal Gear Solid. It was a big part of my childhood. This is Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, and you can actually see the price of it on the side there. I got it from CEX for £75. It's a remake of Metal Gear Solid. Kind of updated, uses some of the mechanics from Metal Gear Solid 2 in there. I only got this year. I'm going to sit down and play this over my Christmas break, I think. Very excited to give this one a go and see how they updated it. I know there's some mixed opinions on this, whether or not it's better or worse than the original. I think it's some and some. Some aspects of it are meant to be better, some aspects are worse. I think there's sort of new music, they re-recorded the voice lines or whatever, but some of the new mechanics introduced also kind of alter how things play out as well, but I really want to give this a go. And finally, in that little batch, I played this on the Switch, the remastered version. It's Metroid Prime. This is amazing. I loved Metroid Prime. I have some problems with sort of the latter part where you have to go and collect all the sort of items again, like towards the end, like the different artifacts, because I'd messed up the first time around. It felt a bit tedious, but this is such a good game. It's got a modern day remaster on the Switch now, which updates some of the controls and aspects of it, which is probably makes it the definitive version. This is the original GameCube version. So good. Absolute must play. And I'm not just saying that it's a must play on the GameCube. Even the Switch version, absolute must play. Fantastic first person shooter. Now, next up. I'll grab that batch now. So, next up, Skies of Arcadia Legends. An updated version of Skies of Arcadia, which came out on the Dreamcast. This is another one that's quite pricey to add to my collection, and one I do want to sit down with when I'm in the mood for a good JRPG. I've heard very good things about this one. It's sort of a piratey-based JRPG. Like I say, heard really good things, so I'm looking forward to trying that. Soul Calibur 2. I showed off Soul Calibur in the Dreamcast one, and they brought out Soul Calibur 2 and 3 for this generation as well. This one is really, really good, and as you can see, Link is in it. Now, what they did for Soul Calibur 2 is released across the GameCube, the Xbox, and the PS2, and they did this for Soul Calibur 3 and 4. Not sure if they did for 5 and 6, I can't quite remember, but for these ones, each console got its own unique character. So the GameCube got Link, the PS2 got, I want to say, Heihachi from Tekken, and the Xbox got Spawn. I think just because this one's got Link, it's probably the best version, but very, very good fighting game. I love me some Soul Calibur, well worth getting hold of. Now the next one, this is a I know this one was controversial. I actually haven't played the next couple of ones, but this is controversial. Star Fox Adventures. I know some people really, really like this, but I know some people genuinely do not, because it took the Star Fox formula and completely changed it. It wasn't even originally a Star Fox game. This was originally like a game called Dinosaur Planet, but it got repurposed to be a Star Fox game. So it's a third-person kind of action-adventure game, but set using the Star Fox characters. Now, I love Star Fox 64. Thought it was a fantastic game, fantastic like 3D space shooter. I do want to sit down and play this and judge it on its own merits. Like I say, I think this is meant to be a good game, but I know it's controversial because of those changes. And next up, two games that I have not played because I want to play the original on the N64 and complete that first. Both we've got Rogue Leader, Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2, which is, you know, I believe it just does more of what Rogue Squadron did, which was a really good game. And Rogue Squadron 3 Rebel Strike. So I want to give these a go, but I do want to complete Rogue Squadron first. I've managed to get so far in it, but never managed to complete it. But I like I say, I want to get that done first. Next up, Super Mario Sunshine. This is a really, really good game. Like, it's a Mario title, so of course it's good. The sort of gimmick here is, not only is it a platformer, but Mario's got this, like, flood machine on his back, which can take in and spray water, and you can use that to traverse the world, defeat enemies, get through the world. This did receive a modern day sort of port to the Switch, but it was part of that Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection, which was only around for a limited time. And I don't know if you can get this individually on the Switch, which is quite annoying. Someone do feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't think it's possible to get this without getting that 3D All-Stars collection, which, like I say, really, really irritating, because I think some of these games need to be re-released and put on modern platforms. But I really like this. I found the controls to be a little bit slidey and hard to get used to, especially on the GameCube controller. I find it quite an awkward controller, but there's a lot of love for this, and I do really like it. Next two games, I'll show these side by side because it's pretty much most of the same, but it's Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2. These are really neat little platformer, well, not platformer, but puzzly minigame collections. The idea is that you're a monkey in a ball, you have to roll through these like mazes of increasing difficulty, collect bananas, get to the end goal. It's what's the name of that old toy a lot of people had? You're in a maze, you got a marble, you have to get it to the end. It's that basically. I think it's either called like Labyrinth or Marble Run or Big Owl's Marble Face or something like that. I don't know. But it's that, and they're fun, and they've got mini games in them that are fun. Good little multiplayer game. You can't really go too wrong with them. This one actually still has the sticker on from when it was originally bought by whoever back in the day. This was bought in HMV for £30. I got this in CEX for about 12. Back when HMV sold more games. So, next up, this is one of my girlfriend's titles, Super Smash Bros. Melee. I don't think Smash Bros. Needs too much of an introduction. It's a 2D brawling game featuring a host of, at the time, characters from various Nintendo franchises. Nowadays, the modern one has characters from all over the place. I know people love Smash Bros. I've never managed to get into it personally, but that's because I'm not a big fighting game guy apart from Mortal Kombat and Soul Calibur, so it's never really been my thing. But I think Melee is maybe considered to be one of the peak ones. I think people still do tournaments for this nowadays, so you can't really fall off, but I don't know how easy this one is to get hold of. The following two ones that I picked up, I had these for the PlayStation 2, and I love these. Again, this is quite sad talking about these ones at this point, actually, because Free Radical, the newest incarnation of Free Radical, have just been shut down, unfortunately, whilst working on a modern Time Splitters, which is devastating. But this is Time Splitters 2 to begin with. Really, really good first-person shooter. Great single-player campaign following, the inspiration from Perfect Dark and GoldenEye. It carries on that tradition. Different objectives per difficulty. You get like loads of different settings and weapons and enemies catered to the settings. You got like Wild West, Gothic Cathedral, Cyberpunk Future, Alien Planet, that sort of thing. Really, really, I love Time Splitters. It's really good. And of course, following that, Time Splitters Future Perfect with the Vin Diesel analogue on there. So this was a bit more cinematic, a bit more focused on the narrative, but still had a really, really good multiplayer mode. Like I say, it's a little bit sad talking about Time Splitters and how much I'd really love to see this franchise re-released as like a HD sort of trilogy release or modern remake because of what has just happened with Free Radical. So yeah, that's a bit bittersweet featuring those. I do think the Time Splitters games from this era are must-have games, and like I said, I'd love to see them re-released in some form, but you know, it is what it is, unfortunately. You just hope one day that it will happen. And also, I can mention with what's happened with Free Radical that those people do, you know, land on their feet. So I feel a bit inappropriate talking about the next one, because the next one is one of my girlfriend's titles again. It's WarioWare. This is a series that continues on to this day. It's called like a mini-game or micro-game compilation. So the idea is that you pick your character and you get these different micro-games to play through. And I think many of you have probably seen them, but it's like really, really daft stuff like get a man will fall off a building, move the trampoline to catch him. Guide a ball through a hole. Score a basket. All sorts of really weird and quirky stuff. Great multiplayer game. You can't go wrong with it. And like I say, it's had modern day re-released. Not this one particularly, but there are modern WarioWares out there. Next up, two games that I've played a little bit but not fully dedicated time to. But like many of these platforms, they all got their own unique wrestling franchises. Gamecube's most famous is probably Day of Reckoning. This is kind of set just as John Cena was coming in. So I think it's like 2005, 2006-ish. Definitely be competing with like the SmackDown versus Raw series at this point. I know there's a lot of love for Day of Reckoning. I need to sit down properly and play it, like I say. But the matches I've played have been really, really good. Really, really like this one. And the one that kind of the predecessor to Day of Reckoning is WrestleMania X8. So I think it was the idea Day of Reckoning took some of the groundwork laid down here and really improved upon it. The one thing I'll say is I think in some aspects of these sort of followed on the traditions of like the No Mercy, the N64 ones, whereas the PS2 and the Xbox franchises were going in their own direction as well. Next up, 13. So we talk about modern remakes. This got a modern remake about a year or two ago, which was not well received because they changed the complete style of it. This was a bit of a cult classic released at the time. It's a first-person shooter known for having a very stylized comic book aesthetic to it. It's got a load of gadgets to it. It's a really, really fun game. It's not the greatest first-person shooter in the world, but like I say, it's well worth playing. I don't know if they improved the modern remake at all, or if it's still kind of, you know, has its issues, but this is quite easy to get hold of for the older systems. It's quite cheap, and I do think the old version is still available on GOG. And finally, this was something that my girlfriend got a good while ago, but it's like a promotional disc for The Legend of Zelda. So what this has on it is the original Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2 Adventures of Link, it's got Ocarina of Time on there and Majora's Mask, as well as a demo of Windwaker. So it's Zelda, you know, it's 4 Zelda games in here, and I know Link, the Adventures of Link is seen a little bit as a, you know, black sheep of the franchise a little bit, but you've got the original on here, you've got Ocarina and Majora's Mask. Ocarina's fantastic, the original's really good. I haven't played Majora's Mask yet, but I don't know how easy this is to get hold of, if I'm being honest with you, but it's a really neat little thing. So, there you have it, that's the GameCube collection. Let me know what you thought of that. Let me know any of your memories of the GameCube. Would definitely love to hear them. Again, I know it's a much beloved console. I know people, you know, really do have such a lot of affection for it, for what Nintendo put out on it, and you can see this from that collection. There's so many games worth getting for it. So as always, love to hear your thoughts and that down below. Leave a like on the video and a comment, and thank you very much, and I'll see you again in the next video. Goodbye.